Welcome, everyone. I'm Kimberly Boschman, and this is the Intentionally Intuitive Podcast. In this episode of Numerology Quick Takes, we're going to take a look at the numerology for the week of December 9th, and we're going to talk about how to best work with this energy because it's a doozy. It's a big one. So the week of December 9th, we are going to be working with the vibration of the 55, so 505. So anytime we move through a 5 cycle, there's inevitably going to be some type of change that comes in for us in some area of life that we are meant to pay attention to and to move with and to take note and take seriously. I'm going to talk about what some of those changes could look like because we have the influencing energy of the 50, it actually changes the dynamic a little bit. So I'm going to kind of go over that. But for some of you where maybe you move through the week and you don't see a lot of change happen, some things could initiate this week that's a larger storyline that you see kind of unfold over the coming months. And you'll be able to look back to this week and be like, this is where it all started. This is where it all began. So I would say manage your expectations about what you will see come to fruition this week. But just know that this is the one where we ignite the embers, so to speak, and then we're going to fan the flames for the coming months and what we choose to do with the changes that want to come in. And for some of you, it might be that you are in a position to hold space for someone or be a support system for someone who's moving through a tremendous amount of changes, or that these changes, this energy is affecting in some way. So just kind of keep that in mind as well. This, of course, is a general forecast. If you would like your own personal numerology reading, please book some time with me. My information is in the description box below. Of course, I would love to work with you. All right, let's take a look. So again, going to be working with this vibration of the 55. This can bring in, because of this vibration of the 50, this can bring in this beautiful energy of fulfillment. This can bring in rewards for effort that we've already expended, that we've already been putting forth. This can kind of come in, and because the 5 energy is a fast-moving energy, usually when we move through a 5 cycle, and again, this is a shorter cycle, it's only a week long, but a lot can happen in a week. So a lot of times we see things speed up. We start to get momentum. We start to pick up the pace a bit, right? Because we were previously moving through a 4 cycle. And anytime we move through a 4 cycle, it slows everything down. It asks us to take our time, to pay attention to the details. The 5 energy is about breaking free from something, running full speed ahead. It's sort of like chariot energy in tarot a bit. It's a very fast-moving energy. So when we move through this cycle, we can see things really pick up. For some, this can be a pace that is a little dizzying, right? Like it can almost feel a little chaotic at times. It can feel as if the rug is sort of being pulled out from underneath us, and we have to figure out how to get our footing, and then what our next steps are. So it can be a lot of unfolding parts, a lot of moving parts, a lot to kind of wrap our head around. So it does require our attention, right? And to be present so that we can make the best decisions in these chaotic times that the 5 energy can bring forth, right? But again, because of this 50 energy, this brings that speed and momentum, but in an area that can feel really good, actually. It can bring in that fulfillment. It can bring in that public recognition or the accolades or the achievements. Big and small achievements are possible now. So it's a fulfilling type of energy that stems from change, right? So either change that we've been moving through, we are now reaping the rewards of our efforts, seeing that things coming to fruition, things kind of making sense at this point. Or this could be a period of time where change comes in for you, and that initiation, that spark of change creates the momentum that creates that evolution within your life. And when you get to that destination of where this change wants to take you, you'll reap those rewards at that time. So again, for some, this can be an unfolding storyline of what's to come, right? Like what you'll achieve, what you want to achieve. But now you kind of get that wind in your sails, and it's more than just, a light breeze. The 5 energy brings the gust, right? It can sometimes bring the storm, right? That we have to move through in order to figure out what's best. But it can definitely take us much quicker to the destination that we've been trying so hard to get to, right? So it's really, really a very benefic type of energy when we have that vibration of the 5. Is actually signified in tarot as the 10 of Cups, right? So it's a very fulfilling, very supportive, very like reap what you've sown type of energy. But those rewards, those grandiose rewards, again, whether they're big or small, they can feel like you've achieved something, only come through the process of change. So if you're someone who has been put through change and you've been fighting it every step of the way, then it's likely that you're not going to get the same sort of benefit from this experience than someone who has been facing the change head on. They've been moving with it, formulating a plan, figuring out how to move through it and best work with it. They're going to reap what they've sown, and we will all reap what we've sown from this energy, whether it's initiated this week or we're seeing the rewards this week. If we've been fighting the change, we're not going to get the same thing out of it or the same benefits out of it as someone who chose to surrender to the change, move with it, and see where it takes them. So it's a very powerful energy. My point of spending so much time on this is because I just want to sort of instill the importance of not fighting it, right? Not fighting the change, but really moving with it and trying to see what it's trying to show you. 9 times out of 10, change can be incredibly uncomfortable in some area, right? We might get rewards in one area, but then we have to release something somewhere else. Or, we might gain a partner, but then we have to lose, I don't know, a part of our independence. We don't have to lose all of our independence, but you know what I mean? So there's change, right? It doesn't have to be sacrifice, but it's some element of change. And so the goal is, anytime we move through a 5 cycle, is to get comfortable in the uncomfortableness and to work with the energy to see where it's trying to take you, to see where it's trying to show you, so that you can get the most out of it. But if you fight it tooth and nail, trying for things to stay the same, you're going to be really disappointed and you're going to be really frustrated with this energy, because all things in life are transient. All things in life must change. And we can fight it all we want, but that change is still going to happen. It's just how we choose to move through it and what we choose to do, with those circumstances once they've changed, when we're on the other side of that change. So this is a week where, it could come in strong doses, where we're being asked to move with it, work with it, make decisions, move with the changes that come from those decisions, etc. Very, very active period when we move through a 5 cycle, with a lot of moving parts, usually. And so I would also say, keep coming back to center. Try not to get too overwhelmed by what can feel at times a little chaotic, a little bit, again, like you think you know the direction you're moving in, and then all of a sudden the tide shifts and you're moving in a different direction, and you've got to figure it out as you go, right? Kind of fly by the seat of your pants a little bit. Not to say you can't have a strategy or a plan. I would hope that you would find a way to do that, right? But it must be flexible. It must be adaptable so that you can move with this energy and not be too rigid and not try to fight it. But it is easy to get overwhelmed in this vibration. And so again, I would say keep coming back to center. Keep trying to go with the flow as much as possible. And you'll know when to take action, and you'll know when to sort of pause and wait for the next step to present. It's hard to really build something solid or make concrete decisions when we're in a 5 cycle, because there are so many moving parts, and we might think we have clarity, but then 5 seconds later, something else pops up that's completely, just blows our mind because it's completely different than what we thought it was going to be. So again, lots of moving parts, lots of adjustments, lots of, kind of being a chameleon and seeing what fits you best, like what color fits you best this week, and it could change, as the circumstances change. So that's really kind of the push this week, is to be as adaptable as possible, to go on this adventure wherever it's trying to take you, no matter how difficult, no matter how challenging, knowing that this change is preparing you or sort of accelerating your timeline a little bit to get you to where you want to be, that will likely be very different than what you had expected it to look like. But it will be much more fulfilling, much more rewarding, the more that you're able to go with the flow, work with this energy, and be open to what it's trying to show you. Definitely would say this week, be really careful about extremes. So if you're being overly restrictive with yourself, this is going to be a week that, you might find a lot of change come in that area, that kind of forces you to, break free from those barriers that you're putting up for yourself. If you're overly excessive, if you are feeding into addictions, if you are living beyond your means, then you could see something come in that's rather challenging or uncomfortable, that kind of is meant to wake you up, to bring you back to your reality, so that you can make more informed and better decisions for your circumstances to get better results. So again, depending on what extreme you find yourself in, and we're always in extremes, right? We can come back to center, but we're human. We're going to fall in and out of those extremes. And the beauty of the 5 is that it comes in and shows us when we're in those extremes, usually through challenges or some kind of upheaval or some kind of, something that needs to come in to wake us up, right? To create that aha moment so that we can make the appropriate changes to, course correct. So I would say this week, do what feels right, do what feels good, but don't take it to an extreme. Don't take it to such an extreme that you might regret those choices once this energy subsides. So in other words, you might have an opportunity to take a high stakes risk this week. Under normal circumstances, that might be really beneficial, and it might be something that makes sense for you. But this energy definitely brings in that, it's a big energy. So it can bring in that feeling of being invincible and being like, throwing caution to the wind and taking chances and risks that you might not have taken in the past, which can be a good thing sometimes, right? But what I would say to you this week is, don't lose your head, right? Keep it attached to your shoulders. Keep your head about you and keep coming back to center, and make sure that the risks that you're taking this week, especially, that if they do not work out the way that you hope that they would, that they don't completely derail you. And so this would be a week where I would say, taking risks where the stakes are low, go for it, right? Live a little, enjoy that adventure. But high stakes risks that would be really hard to bounce back from, you might want to put on the back burner this week and not get too caught up in the energy. Let's just put it that way, right? This could be a week where, because of that 50 also, right? This could be a week where big opportunities come in for you. Also those get rich quick schemes could come in this week. So I would say, if it looks too good to be true, it probably is. Doesn't mean you can't have it, but it's not going to just likely be handed over to you. So it might be something that you need to put work into, etc., investigate, explore, blah, blah. So definitely not a week to just throw caution to the wind, and throw all your money and resources and, your firstborn child into the equation that, to give away if you don't, if you lose, type of thing. So not a week to throw the baby out with the bathwater is basically what I'm trying to say. So keep your head about you, take your time in making decisions, be careful about those extremes, because when we're in a 5 cycle, they can, the decisions and the, what we commit to this week, when this energy subsides, if we haven't been sort of, I don't want to say overly cautious, but if we haven't sort of taken our time done our due diligence, there might be a little bit of buyer's remorse. There could be a lot of buyer's remorse depending on how big the stakes are. But again, I'm not trying to deter you from taking, risks or living outside your comfort zone or etc. Right? You just got to make sure that it makes sense for you now, and that if things don't turn out the way that you want them to or hope that they would, that you'll be okay, that you can easily recover from whatever that is. So again, lots of change, lots of big life events are possible now, not only individually, but on like the collective global scale as well. We could see a lot of things, just those aha moments coming in that create this desire and this sort of movement for greater change in some area of life. And again, that aha moment, that spark is what sort of fuels the flame for that greater movement, for that greater change in our lives. For some, this could be a time where you meet really important new people come into your life at this time, that could really have a significant impact, in your storyline and what that looks like and what your trajectory looks like. For some, not all, this could be a very romantic period where you meet the love of your life, right? Where they sweep you off your feet. But again, I would say, take your time. This is not necessarily the week where you meet someone and you get married the next day, right? Like it can be that kind of energy where you meet this person and it's just like, wow, all bets are off. And I'm not saying that it won't last a long time. There's actually a lot of staying power with this vibration because of the 50. So it's kind of one of those things where you really have to come back to your center and see what feels good for you, what feels right for you. And if it feels good, it feels right. And I would say, don't be too impulsive. Keep coming back to that, right? Give it a little bit of time. Don't rush. Then go for it, right? If it still feels good over, a period of time, go for it. But because a lot of this energy, again, because we have the influence of the 50, has that staying power that normally we wouldn't see under a 5 cycle. So yeah, it's just going to be whatever works for you, whatever feels right for you. But we still at the core of this have that 5 vibration. So I would say, you could definitely meet really impactful, significant people who could be in your life for a very long time and have a very significant impact in your life. I would just say this wouldn't be the week to meet this person and then commit to this person for, forever and ever. Amen. Right? Like have the conversations, have several opportunities to meet with this person, to get to know this person, to understand their motives, etc. Blah, blah, blah. Trust yourself, but take your time. The other thing this could bring in also is new experiences. New important opportunities are possible at this time. So you might, get that job offer that you've been wanting for years. You might get an offer that you didn't even know you wanted, but when it comes in, it sparks your interest. It ignites that excitement within you, that passion. And this would be the week to explore it, to go on that adventure and see where it takes you. This is a week of shifting sands. So it is difficult to build on those shifting sands, but this is a great week to explore those shifting sands and see what lays beneath the next layer, right? What's behind the next door? What's the next thing to greet you on this path? That's the beauty of the 5 energy. It is that exploratory nature where it allows us to be more free, more open, more adventurous, more, letting our spirit sort of be in the driver's seat to truly experience life with all of our senses. And this week could show us where we have been neglecting that side of ourselves, right? This energy wants to come in and spice things up, and it will. If it needs to be spiced up, if things become too mundane, too routine, too fixed, this energy will come up and shake it out, right? Shake up where it needs to shake up, shake out the old, usher in the new type of thing. It sort of brings in, again, that acceleration in the timeline to our own personal and collective evolution. The spark that ignites the flame, that burns down what isn't working so that we can build something better, more evolved, more sustainable in our own lives and collectively in a way we haven't thought of before. in a way maybe we didn't think was possible, but this energy shows us that it is possible, but we have to show up for it. We have to be there. We have to be a part of it. We have to be, we have to put in the effort. And this energy helps us to break down those outdated barriers and those outdated restrictions to embrace this greater freedom that it's trying to remind us that we have access to, right? Might have to do the work to get there. Might have to, again, put in the effort, but it's there for the taking. Again, this is a week to get comfortable in the uncomfortableness, to embrace the change. Don't fight it. See where this energy wants to take you and enjoy the ride. It's going to be a wild ride potentially. Again, shorter cycle, but I think we're going to see it not only individually, but collectively as well. A lot of moving parts. You can figure out what you want to build and create once you land, like once you find your footing. So again, don't try to do that necessarily this week. See what's presented to you. See what change needs to come in, where you need to take action. Take that action. And then when things settle down a little bit, then figure out what it is you want to build. This energy has the potential to open us up to so much more fulfillment and happiness that we weren't able to see before. Suddenly we feel worthy of what we have been worthy of all along, right? And we're willing to sort of take action to claim it now. And that's the beauty of this 50 energy. So powerful energy that brings a long-lasting movement of change that has the potential to bring us to that pot of gold on the other side of our own personal rainbow. Remember, evolution, manifestation, growth, nothing in life happens without change. It is the ever-changing foundation of life. We can either move with it and adjust to this new landscape as it presents itself and embrace the opportunities that it lays out for us, or we can fight it, resist it, and then move through it anyway, because the change is going to happen. It's just how we decide to move through it and what we decide to do with it. And if we decide to fight it, then we're likely going to be faced with many more obstacles than were needed that we just end up creating for ourselves in the long run. So accept the change this week and then create a plan for making the most out of it and allowing it to work for you, not against you. What are you forcing? What are you forcing in order to control the outcome? That's only leaving you frustrated. Take your foot off the gas, stop forcing, allow life to present the next steps, and then act accordingly. Chances are you'll appreciate, you'll benefit, much more from the natural flow of life that this energy brings in and the changes. So much more than from what you had to force to create and struggle to maintain. So, in closing, embrace the changes this week, knowing that you always get to decide how to work with them. You get to decide that, which really, that is the magic at the base of all this anyway. So, big week ahead. I think it'll be interesting. So yeah, hang on tight and go with the flow and see where it takes you. Hope it's a great one. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.